Rightio, for the second week in a row, Will Scoville, Mark Redding's Shelter FootyCast. I am dressed better than Mark Redding's. The world has gone upside down. We've got cyclones over on the East Coast, but more importantly, Mark Redding's is in shorts and I'm wearing a full suit. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm well. When you say you're better dressed than me, look, I did iron my shirt today. Did you iron yours? Looks a little bit unkept, but that's just an initial observation.
You know what? I was gonna not talk about the parking. I was gonna not do it, but because you've come up with me, mate, I think it's good you're in casual clothes, just like your hair looks good too. If I need to draw you a diagram out the front of how to park, there is 4 cars that need to fit in. It's seeping out of your brain somehow. We need 4 cars out the front, and you continually misplace your car.
So I got told to park with the pillar in front of me, so I did that. But anyway, that's fine. Anyway,
there's another car that needs to go next to you, and you just keep parking in the middle.
No, I'm not parked right on the edge of the veranda. But anyway,
ladies and gentlemen, if you want to tune in on socials, we will be taking photos.
We're dealing with a numpty who turns up 10 minutes late. That's why there was the bays were empty, because no one was here for a 9 o'clock podcast. But anyway,
how did you get in here?
Well, we waited. I sat in the car and waited, and we just
bit of form. A little bit of time to put some
this might really surprise you, but people have lives to lead apart from waiting for you to turn up after a function.
So there's only 2 games this weekend, and you don't have to do too much for them.
That's why opening round's a pile of poop.
So you don't like it. Well, we'll get into that in a second, Skeeter. Off the top, I do want to remind people, this is your last chance on the Shelter FootyCast, at least, to join the tipping. You know what? You could probably join it after this week and still win. Usually, if you miss round 1, it's all over. I reckon if you miss this round and you want to join next week, you come back from 2 down for sure.
What do you get? The away team? Do you get any team? That's the question you need to be asked.
That's a question.
No, you need to be asked that.
I don't know the answer to, Skeeter. You get away.
So you get Collingwood and you get
if you're not entering the competition, you get none.
But Collingwood and Hawthorn, happy days.
Well,
you're 50-50.
That's why they're probably good games this weekend. We don't know who's going to win them, but if you want to join the tipping comp, $1,000 cash, Busselton bonanza down there. Thanks to Shelter, 2 nights at the Hilton. We've got a big lunch, breakfast, dinner at Shelter Brewing. We've got brewery tours. We've got jetty tours. We've got par 3 golf. I don't know how much more we can give you. If you want to join that, sign up as a patron over on the Shelter FootyCast website, which is shelterfootycast.com.au. You need to be a patron both to enter and to win prizes. If you want $1,000, I'd go and enter. Oh, and by the way, a carton of beer every week for the best tipper weekly. Skate, it's been a big week in footy and we haven't even got there yet. Let's get into some of the big moments. I think the biggest leading one is Cyclone Alfred. Any updates there? Are you happy with how it's handled? And you can probably lean that into what you think of opening round.
Yeah, look, I think the AFL, despite delaying their decision, the right call was made. Look, the Cyclone's supposed to hit land a bit later than expected, so they probably could have got a match away tonight, to be totally honest. But at the end of the day, you've got players sandbagging their houses. I think it's quite an obvious call. You put that game back to round 3, which is a simple call in many respects. The Saturday game is the one that's a bit problematical, and they're talking about putting it after round 24, and that's getting a bit messy. But I think the right call was made. Unfortunately, it has dampened, pardon the pun, the spirits around opening round and round 0, because last year, and I know you're a proponent for it, it served a lot of purposes. Big crowds, TV ratings were good, northern markets fulfilled. This year, and given the fact the NRL's gone to Vegas, they're going to have a round this weekend where there's been a match move from Queensland to Sydney.
So I was going to ask that, Skate. So NRL, competitors of the AFL in these states, and that's a big reason why they're doing the northern states, which I think South Australia and West Australia need to be included in opening round if we're going to do this. But the big reason is they're trying to take on the NRL. So the NRL are going ahead and they're moving games. Do you think, you follow the NRL closer than I do, have they handled it better than the AFL? Because they're playing a national competition as well.
Yeah, no, not necessarily, because I think there are players from the Dolphins, for instance, that aren't actually going to travel and play because they are in vulnerable areas and they want to be with their families. So I think it's totally, look, the NRL's within their rights to do that. But, I mean, David Mundy suggested on Monday about moving this Brisbane-Geelong game to Geelong and then just shift, I think they play each other around 14 or 15 and just swapping it over. Made sense, but of course, we're not living in Queensland. We're not got a young family like you've got, say, in a flood area where you think, I'm going to go fly out on Tuesday, get back possibly on Friday or Saturday, and you got your family vulnerable at home. I know the right call's been made.
If there's 5 families, I mean, surely the NRL and AFL, they could have canvassed teams. If there was 5, what the NRL or AFL can't afford some airfares to get these families to Sydney for the weekend.
No, it's not about getting them to Sydney. It's about if my home is under threat, and not saying it is, but some of these players thinking, well, if this comes in the direction
they want to be with their families.
They want to be with their home. A bit like people with fires.
Hang on, what are they going to do? Are they going to protect their home?
No, but Sam, put it this way.
Emergency services would be doing that, I would have thought.
Wouldn't you rather be at home if you've got Mother Nature or fire, as opposed to in another state trying to concentrate on a game of footy? I think it's a no-brainer. And I'll be honest with you, I actually thought the switcheroo was a good idea until, having spoken to a couple of people, that no, players actually, they're genuinely concerned about, your house is your house.
They're not going to be able to save their house.
No, but you know what? I tell you what, you feel a lot better being there with the emergency people than sitting in a change room in Geelong. That's the honest answer.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I think the right call's been made.
Yeah.
It's you want to be with your house. I don't think it's really
well, house and family. I mean, that's
family. Absolutely, family. Of course, family comes before footy, but. It's going to be an interesting one because, to be honest, like both leagues have handled it differently. So, but the
bottom line is the opening round, and I know again I gave the positives of it. You talk about including South Australia and Western Australia plus the northern states, which takes us to 6 games for the weekend.
Yeah,
why not just play the 9? Have this as opening round or round 1. And start the season earlier and have an extra bye. Why not just do that?
Because I think it could be a good way to work on fixture equality by not having any games in Melbourne. I know people in Melbourne will, kick up a stink. Well, we're the home of footy, and having non-Melbourne teams play in non-states. I mean, in the end, this is a audience grab by the AFL.
But why? It's an audience grab for northern markets to try and compete with the NRL. Is that right?
Sure. Yeah, sure. But an additional benefit could be having Melbourne sides travel out of Melbourne for the first week. I mean, that to me seems like a good idea given the inequality in the fixture. And if we're looking for ways to equalise that, which the AFL is, why wouldn't you include South Australia and Western Australia? And sure, if the option is there just to put another round of footy, do that. Or why don't we do 4 more rounds of footy?
No, I'm not saying 4 more rounds. I'm saying instead of, I've got to be honest with you, people are confused about the start of the season. I know the Cyclones played a part here, but they want to see their team play. I know your argument is we get to see a weekend of footy earlier than normal.
Yes.
So if we bring it forward, why not just play, if we're playing 2 games, 4 games, why don't we just play the whole round early to compete with the NRL?
Because that is important. We haven't started with the round here and stripped 5 games out of it. They've created a round. So it's really important to remember you're getting extra footy. You're not getting less footy. So you're saying
we're not getting any more footy.
You're getting more footy than 0.
How are you getting more footy? The same number of games are played over the course of a year.
You're getting an extra round of footy. You're getting another week of football.
You get no more games.
Okay, you're listening to what I'm saying. You get another week of football. I like this antsy sort of environment. I like it. I like it.
You don't get any more football. It's the same amount of football spread over a longer length.
More football by week. You get an extra week of football because 1 year ago there was no opening round. It was nothing. Nothing happened then. This week was nothing round. Now it is opening round. Now I agree with that. Put more games in there. But the alternative was nothing. Not 9 games and we've stripped it out and we're not giving teams a go. No, we're giving 4 more games.
So what is the reason? Tell me if you
another week of football. That is the reason they're doing it.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Of course it's not. There's no way. You've missed it by a mile.
What is it?
Well, if you shut up for 2 seconds, it's the NRL.
What is it?
They're trying to counter the NRL. I'm just not sure how this is doing that.
Because they're opening rounds in Vegas. So
they're Vegas.
That can't be the reason.
The reason was the northern markets. Why are they trying to get in there and put their footprint at the start of the year? It's not because the weather's better or there's more life around the community. It's because they want to try and get into the NRL space.
So that's a butcher job. And I haven't fixed it then. It's a butchering by the AFL if that's what they're doing.
Well, I don't see how they're doing it because there's still NRL being played this weekend.
So my solution is put games in Western Australia and South Australia. Open it right up and have non-Victorian clubs playing against Melbourne clubs out of the state. How's that not a good solution?
So 6 games as opposed to 9?
Sure. It's 6 games as opposed to 0. It's not against 9. It's 6
here's my alternative.
It's 6 instead of 0.
Have the
Just
full round.
Clear.
Okay, that's
the truth. Yep.
This is my alternative. Start the season this weekend with 9 games, then have an extra bye. Okay. Is that reasonable or not?
I don't mind that, yes, but that's not opening round. That's not opening round. That's just started the season early. And I think
exactly.
I think the big frustration with people, quite honestly, is you and I, if I can go back and forward like a couple of old idiots, and I'm including myself in that, by the way. The biggest frustration is it's called opening round. If we just called this round 1, right, and we had the 4 games, don't worry about the Cyclone, the 2 games. If it was 4 games and it was called round 1 and the end of the year was called round 25 instead of 24, I think you'd halve the amount of frustration. People are confused by the name, and so am I. It doesn't make any sense. Call it round 1. Why are we calling it opening round? Call it round 1.
I think they're more frustrated about not seeing their team play, to break it right down. And so there is, whether this is the last, the AFL says yes. If that's the case, then I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. There's not much. There's not much that comes out of my mouth that I do. AFL House. There is lots of things going on being pushed out. I actually don't want to get into this. I think it'll be too controversial. But there's lots of things happening at the moment that I don't know if they're getting quite right. Clearly, this isn't right. You and I are completely opposed views on it, and the audience would be the same. People hate it. People are like, well, why don't we do this? So it's not right. There's other stuff being right. I'm not sure how much they're getting right at the moment, the AFL. Yeah, maybe we just need games to start. Yeah, 100%. I think, when you say, we're debating this, but it is not something that you think is horribly wrong with footy. I mean, we're just anxious for footy to come back. How it comes back and what format, that's the main. AFL, are they getting stuff wrong? The Cyclone, out of their control. I think that they made the right call. Did they make it early enough? Probably not. What else are they butchering?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into it, honestly. I know that's very vague of me, and I'm usually pretty forward in going backwards, but I'm going backwards today. I'm not going to get into it. Gold Coast, Essendon. Maybe follow me up next couple of weeks. Gold Coast, Essendon. Likely to be played during the pre-finals bye. Both teams have a different bye. So this is the only way to avoid major disruption to the fixture. That feels weird and disadvantageous to both of those sides.
So therefore, when those that are playing,
I don't know
finals,
where that information is coming from.
I have heard that as well. No, I've heard that as well. But so you're saying, once the regular season's finished and that next week everyone has a break that's playing finals,
yes,
that's when they'll play.
Yes.
So therefore, for Geelong, for Essendon and the Gold Coast,
they're getting their bye now.
They're getting their bye now, as opposed to when they're cooked at the end of the season.
Yes.
And if they say both are playing finals,
that's not. That doesn't seem like a good solution.
And they're playing different clubs the next week. How does that help them?
Well, but the season's going to go on, so I think maybe a better solution would be re-looking at the late fixture and moving some magnets around. I mean, they've done it before for a whole season. Surely they can move a couple around to get a game in. I don't know.
No, they have. You're right. They've been able to do it 2-3 years ago. Gillen was doing it, tap dancing his way through.
What was old mate? And I call him old mate. But what was old
Andrew
mate?
Dillon?
No. No, who was the fixture guy?
Travis Old.
Yeah, Travis Old.
That'd be
Goodwill Hunting.
The poor bloke, he signed up this deal to do his fixturing. Okay, I'll just make sure this happens.
I'll just chuck this in AI, don't worry.
And then the COVID happens and the poor bastard's got World War VI at his doorstep.
All right, we're not laughing at that. Okay, let's move on to some, player-related news. Andrew Brayshaw signs on until 2031. Huge signing for Fremantle. I don't think there was any doubt in this one, to be honest.
No.
We got pretty close contact in brother of that was pretty confident he was going to sign this deal. What I do think this does, great for Fremantle, right? Sarong, Brayshaw, they've got all these guys locked away. Tracy's locked away. They've got Darcy and Jackson locked away. They've got a big core of players that are on longer-term deals. What that says, and Shea Bolton's including those as well, they ain't getting Chad Warner. In fact, I don't know if that happens. No, I'll say it right now. Chad Warner's not going to Fremantle. No way in the world that he can fit into Fremantle, let alone paying and
how does Cozzy Pickett if Brad Green wants 3 first rounders? Mind you, having spoken to someone who knows the draft pretty well and how it, given pick 26, 27, 28, given that's a first rounder nowadays, given how it plays out. So you've got to be careful if you're Brad Green about voicing what is required. Anyway,
he wants to posture up, right?
Of course.
He wants to go, Cozzy Pickett's worth a lot, but I'm not sure at the end of February in 2025 is the time to be doing that.
No.
That says to me Cozzy Pickett's out the door.
So I think so.
President's coming and saying
I think so. But you're suggesting, given that Chad Warner's out of the reach of Fremantle, Cozzy Pickett is then, is he?
Don't.
One of the two, I think, has to be within their reach.
Cozzy Pickett is, yes. They can't roll into the draft with seven first round draft picks, which would probably be required to get those two players.
But if you, and I've asked a couple of people this question, if you had the choice at the end of this season, hypothetical, to bring Cozzy Pickett or Chad Warner to Fremantle, who do you choose?
Cozzy Pickett.
Yeah, I'm going Chad Warner.
Yeah, I mean, he's a better player, but you need to think about...
No, I'm saying...
Are you just saying
I'm saying
a better player?
No, I'm saying who
fits better?
Who fits better? I definitely think Chad Warner. I think what's the need for Fremantle? I know I've been shut down by you guys with this. I think...
Who's you guys?
We had that marathon the other day on BackChat.
You were there for an hour.
I was there for an hour and a half, thank you.
For 5 hours.
Yeah, I know. No, I honestly believe that they have the... No, if you can get Cozzy Pickett, of course you would. My point is that Shea Bolton has alleviated that forward craft, come inside the centre square.
They would be hoping him to play midfield, though. They're not paying...
Who, Cozzy?
No, Shea Bolton. They would be hoping he's a...
60-40?
Yeah, they would be wanting midfield minutes out of him. You're not going to go and just have him purely playing.
But my point was, I think the Dockers, I've been shut down about this, saying I think their midfield's very good.
Yes,
but I think there are better midfields in the competition. And so, and even just looking at if you look at the centre square formation of Melbourne,
Brayshaw, Sarong.
Yeah, no, very good, very good.
Most.
It does, but
plus Jackson,
if you've got Gawn, Oliver, Petrarca, Vine, that stacks up.
That's probably the best.
The one aspect that I think Brayshaw, Sarong miss, I think it's pretty obvious, is they don't kick enough goals. Now that puts them from there up to there, we're talking Bontempelli, Nick Dacos, who are that just slightly next level. So my point was Chad Warner, I think, would add greatly to that side of things, given you've got Shea Bolton, but you're saying Chad's no chance for Fremantle. I'm just saying for a fit for Freo, I think it wouldn't be, better than Cozzy, but if you've got Cozzy, you're not going to balk.
Jesse Hogan will miss the start of the season with a broken thumb after jamming it in a bus door on the way home from their pre-season game. I've seen him speak about it. It's not a furphy. We've seen some of these in the past. Jordan throwing the frisbee in the park. Was that Jordan Goey or was that?
I think it was him.
We've seen some strange ones. This one seems legit. Well, might not be, but that's a big loss for a side that is, across a lot of people, one of the premiership favourites to have the Coleman Medal winner out with a freak weird injury. I don't know how long he's missing. That's not a good start to the season.
It's not. I know Darren Mullane, the late Darren Mullane, played through a final series with a broken thumb, but this is probably 2-3 weeks, I'm thinking, sideline. And given Jake Stringer's not playing on the weekend, that all that starts to add up in their forward structure.
Yeah, I don't like just little things like this happening, and I'm sure GWS don't.
Well, Charlie Colonel's not playing next weekend. Yeah. So there's a lot of these around the comp at the moment.
There's a little bit more news over here in the West in terms of the West Coast Eagles. I've just been back from the season opener.
Yeah, you must have something for us.
Would you like to hear something?
I want to hear something. Give me something.
This is going to be good. You're going to like this.
Okay.
And Jaden will be scribbling down, clipping this up for socials. Let me tell you, right, these season openers, right, they're a bit of junk, mate.
They're puff pieces.
They're complete junk. And I was there presenting the jumper to Luca Grego, number 31.
Yes.
Great honour. Literally.
It would be.
They didn't do it when they gave my number away the first time, and I was filthy about it.
So who gave the number away last time?
I don't know. It wasn't me. And I think that was disrespectful, and I'll just say that, out loud. But the club is really looking to look after their past players, their life members, people that have set this club up. And it was great to be there. Sam Butler was giving 26 to Bo Allen, Eric McKenzie giving his away, Josh Kennedy giving the 17 away. It was a pretty good crew. Glenn Jakovic, 27. Can't remember who they're all lining up with. But the backstage, Adam Selwood was there, Casey Green. So Chris Mainwaring's son.
And
Zach was there giving the number 3 to Liam Baker. So it was a great crew of guys, right? But that's not what I learned. What I learnt that I think most West Coast fans may not have seen because they haven't been rolling him out at all, which I think is a blunder given what I just saw. Andrew McQualter, I was ready to run through a bit of a brick wall for Andrew McQualter from his speech.
Really?
It was, and this is no disrespect to Simo, great coach, premiership coach. In those circumstances, he wasn't a motivator. He'd walk out of the season launch with Simo and be like, yeah, whatever, I don't know what's going to go on here. Andrew McQualter, I was like, yeah, let's go. He wasn't saying we're going to win the premiership. He wasn't saying that. He wasn't even talking about winning. And a really interesting thing he said was, I've been around winning teams before, and the common thing with winning and successful sides, they don't talk about winning. They talk about their memories, the journey, their mates, what you've done, the hard work. They don't talk about winning games. So he didn't, and he had everyone in the room locked in, and like silence, and it was...
Was it scripted? In part, surely.
He had it written down.
Even if it wasn't, doesn't even if it was, it doesn't matter.
He wrote it down, but he spent a lot of time off cuff, I think. I think he had notes he was following.
That's great.
Mate. And to me, like, that's an error by the West Coast Eagles. How have you not rolled him out more? We haven't seen enough of him. Why have we not?
He must be. Yeah, I've got to say, he's been just from my. We've been in Gaga land for the last 3 months and holidays and just doing what we do. But no, I haven't noticed him in the public eye that much. But maybe that's been a deliberate ploy. Well,
if it's been deliberate, that's dumb, because he's very good, and
he's got a lot.
In good hands, West Coast. Very impressive.
So, if nothing else, I know you're a bit negative about what they're going to do on field this year.
They're not going to win many games.
No,
that's what I'm talking about.
No, well,
you still need
a change of change at the top, I think, and that's no disrespect to Simpson, Schofield, whoever. Sometimes you just need that to invigorate the group, and whether it translates from 5 wins to 7 or 8 this year. And I know we've put the bar. You put what is, I think the bar internally would be, I'm guessing 8 wins. Yep. That's only just a guess. You're saying realistically that's probably too high, but I think you've got to be looking. You can't say 5 is the bar again. You can't settle for what you had last year. Yeah,
there's different things here, right? It's like, what do you expect them to do? So I expect them to be around the 4 win mark. That's expected.
That's shallow.
That's on a pass mark, and that's worse than last year. But you're talking about a pass mark. If they win 8 games, everyone goes patting them back. You've improved from last year, right?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you expect them to win?
I expect I would.
Or what do you think they'll win?
I'm going to give them the chance to win 7. I mean, that's going to take like an upset in the Derby, which we didn't think had happened last year.
Yeah, correct.
There were some anomalies with a couple of those results, but. Do they get better? Look, not being an Eagles sycophant, I hope they do better.
Yeah,
it makes our job better.
So do
the Dockers, I hope they go well.
I'm not going to sit here and pump them up, though. I think they're going to win 4 or 5 games. That's what I think.
But that's a pretty grim season. That's a really grim season.
Yeah, but that's what I think.
Yeah, I think they can do better than that. But you know what? I might be delusional. I said 7.
Okay, perfect. And what about the Freo Dockers on the other side of things? If we're talking about both pass mark and what you think they're going to do. So for pass, it's really difficult 2 words to say in a row, Skate. And
pass mark.
Yeah.
So it's a question I should be asking you, given you're pretty strident on the Dockers, and obviously finals is a non-negotiable. If they don't reach that, then it's a big cross, big fail. So where after that do they need to get to give everyone at Fremantle, if not the flag, where do they need to be comfortable? If
they win a final, everyone goes, well done. I think if they make finals and they're out first round, it's a bit of like, well, it's may as well finish 10th.
Yeah.
So make a final, win a final, pass. What I think they'll do, I think they'll win 2 finals. So that will either see them playing in a grand final because they win a qualifying and a prelim, and I don't know what happens in the grand final, or it'll see them win an elimination and a semi and they play in a prelim and they lose. So that's what I think will happen. What do you think?
I know this sounds...
And what's a pass? Do you agree with my pass?
Yeah, totally.
Winning
a final, pass, and anything beyond that, people talking finishing top 4, which is obviously the aim. You want to give yourself the best possible chance, but there has to be improvement, and they've been working on the improvement because we saw that in the final month of the year. I just think the first 5 or 6 weeks can really set up their season. If they can get Geelong next week, there's matches at home, including a Derby. They can be 5-1. They can be 4-2, even at worst. So I think they can do that. So I haven't got them winning the flag, but by the same token, I've got them in that mix between sort of 3rd and 6th.
Okay.
To give themselves a look at it. And so that's a natural progression. Winning 13 to 14 games.
All right. And win 2 finals? Think they can do that?
If they win 2 finals, if they win 2 finals,
yep.
If you finish top 4, you're in
You put yourself
in a grand final.
You put yourself in a position to win a premiership. If you win 2 finals,
you're in a prelim final or you're in a grand final.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah,
you're close to that mark.
Yeah, so I think that's where they're going to be. I think that's where they should be at. Their list, their build, their opportunity they have, the game plan won't have changed much. Like they'll have complete clarity and role. That's why I'm strong on them. They're ticking a lot of boxes, but with box ticking before. Mate, the amount of times I've done bloody predictions in the last 2 weeks, and I change sometimes. Of course I do. Anyone who listens to this show, I'm bloody all over the joint, right? And I've got blokes on social media going, I'm keeping receipts. You've put Brisbane in 7th on 6PR. Let me tell you, I don't have a fucking idea what's going to happen, and neither does Skeet, and no one else. That's why their predictions, right? There's probably 14 teams this year that will have serious aspirations to play finals, which is a great thing. I think in some years there might be 12, there might be 11, 10, and the other guys are just like there to make up the numbers. There are not too many this year that go, realistically, we probably can't make finals. There's not too many, which means anyone can do it. And we're not going to know until exactly what you just said, 5, 6, 7, round 7. You're going to see sort of what's happening and might have a change or two. But right now, as we sit here on a Thursday before the season's even started, no one has a clue. No, if anyone tells you that I know what's going on, please sign me up. And I'll build a bit of an investment behind it, Skeeter. Is that right? You've been here longer than I have.
Yeah, and look, and again, I've found it really hard. If you look at the market for the premiership, it is Brisbane favourite. That's natural, but it is very wide open. That's why when you make your prediction, which you've had yours, and I'll have my premiership prediction for Fremantle. Everything, if it aligns, looks positive. But they lose Tracy, they lose Pierce. Things can change in one weekend in terms of what we saw last year. Back into the year, they didn't have 2 of their key pillars. It can change in a heartbeat. And whether Darcy is fit enough, whether Jackson lives up to... So there's so many ifs and buts. So I agree.
But that's why it's great.
Yeah, and there's so many clubs in that boat. If Collingwood's age becomes an issue and their older blokes can't stand for 24 rounds, if Hawthorn don't... Everyone says Hawthorn playing a grand final. What? Because they lost a final last year.
Yeah.
They've played great footy for the back end of the year.
If they can't handle expectations,
exactly.
They could finish 14th.
There's no certainties with Hawthorn either. So despite the confidence, and it's a bit like watching a horse race. You see your horse finish 4th and flying home down the outside. Next start, you think it's going to win.
And then you back them, and then what happens?
Well, you back it, and then they struggle. So, no, it happens. That's why
Does that happen
you're right.
A little bit with you? Like, have you seen that over your time?
Yeah,
like backing a good horse and it actually not going too well for you?
Well, I think most people enjoy a financial investment on the thoroughbreds go through that period. Yeah.
Oh, just a mug's game, that entire operation, seriously. Just a couple of little other updates.
Yeah, sure.
Brandon Starcevic and Darcy Cameron.
Coming home, yeah, of course.
Are they?
Well, apparently. I'm just reading it. Everyone's coming home. Or Luke Jackson's going back to Mill. It's just... Why are we in this sort of phase this time of the year already?
Do I not talk about it? I mean, Darcy Cameron at West Coast would be very good.
Well, he's an Albany boy. He would be handy. He wouldn't cost you the world, would he?
Mate, he's
been very good.
He's way up to... He'd probably be in the top 6 ruckman in the competition.
So, yeah, I might have undersold him. But in terms of... I'm just not spending a lot of biscuits on a ruckman.
I said this about... Tom De Koning at Carlton. So he's a free agent coming up, and there's a lot of talk about him. I think there's 2, maybe 3 elite ruckmen in the competition. Gawn's one. Cherry is soon becoming one. And there's a couple of other guys that are high-level operators.
I think Darcy, when he's up and running...
Yeah, Marshall from St Kilda.
True.
I don't have... We can't have Sean Darcy there. He hasn't put the runs on the board recently. Maybe at his very best.
Are you saying worried?
I'm saying right now. There's probably 3. Marshall, Cherry and Gawn. Then there's a group of ruckmen, Nankervis, Witts, Darcy, Cameron's in one of those.
Very good.
That are very good, but you're going to go and pay the world for the top 3. The rest of them, Tom De Koning included, they're just ruckmen, right? And, yeah, you can win games off them, but Geelong has... done very well over the past 10 years by not playing a ruckman, basically. They haven't given a lot of respect to it.
Richmond had Sean Griggs do a bit of ruckman in their premiership years.
So unless you're in that elite bracket, which I don't think Darcy Cameron is, although he's very good, I don't think clubs are going to overpay unless you're one of those
And
3.
I think you're right in that respect, because if he decides to come home, it's an obvious weakness. I think Matt Flynn might get first look in round one for what it's worth, but given what we've seen during the pre-season. But yeah, it's a clear weakness for the Eagles.
Last one before we get into previewing the 2 games this weekend, Skeeter. A change to the McClelland Trophy. This is from Mitch Cleary, a good friend over at your station, Channel 7. The AFL is changing criteria for the McClelland Trophy, which, as a reminder, awards the best clubs across the AFL and AFLW combined.
How Brisbane didn't win it last year is a joke.
So after finals, men's and women's teams now ranked 1 to 18. Premier gets 18 points. Runner-up, 17. Spoon, 1 point, etc. 36 points are on offer. Hawks won 2024 plus $1 million prize money, despite Brisbane AFL flag and AFLW runner-up. If they used this new system last year,
it's all over.
Brisbane won it.
And as they should have.
Which I don't understand. I don't understand the system they were using.
I don't understand the McClelland Trophy anyway, because it's something very Victorian-centric, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But, surely it's just 2 competitions. If you win one, you get the most points. And the same, like...
Where's the final? It's just the finals.
Yeah, well...
Maybe it's like the Norm Smith... the Brownlow medal, where there's no points awarded in the finals.
Disrespecting backmen. That's like this. That's what the Brownlow medal does on a regular basis.
I didn't know we we're going in that path.
Well, it does. Well, this disrespects winners, just like the Brownlow disrespects backmen. It is Will Schofield, Mark Redding's Shelter FootyCast. Very good. Skeeter, we will get your season predictions in a little bit. People are sitting on the edges of their seats after we've just told them that neither of us have any idea.
Well, last year I got a lot right, which I didn't realise until you told me.
You did. Yeah, that's actually right. You actually clocked this. You did very well. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, because we will be rolling them out in just a little bit. But Skeeter, as we always do here on the Shelter FootyCast, once footy starts, it's review time, and it's a Thursday, so we're previewing the games coming up. First game of the season, Friday night footy, probably as it should be. Do you know what I mean? Sydney play Hawthorn. In really what must be said is an absolute blockbuster. Like Sydney Hawthorn, I'm very happy that this is the season opener. This is a great game of footy at the SCG.
It's a beauty, isn't it? The new Boom team up against a club that's made a grand final, but was absolutely pantsed, and they've got a new coach, and all the signs are pretty good under Dean Cox. And look, we can go on numbers from last year, etc. But I'll be honest with you, I was watching some of James Hurd's work on Footy Classified.
Enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Also enjoyed Rory Sloane as well. But
okay, yeah. So it was just more about Hurd talking about how Dean Cox might have changed up the way Sydney defends, and showed some vision from the grand final, and then showed some in a practice match. Obviously, the chalk and cheese with the pressure, etc. But yeah, maybe Coxie has, and I haven't seen enough of them to put this view out there that they are a completely changed outfit, but maybe some tinkering to the style of defence they operate with.
Yeah, so just to explain that a little bit more, I watched the same vision. It was great. I love this sort of stuff. So in the grand final, Sydney played Brisbane. Brisbane had 140 marks.
Extraordinary.
When we were in 2018, we were a side that if we had over 100 marks, we never lost.
Yeah.
But what you're trying to do in any game is probably keep a team under 80. If you can keep a team under 80, you're a good chance at winning.
So essentially, you're controlling the ball for large pool. Is that the gist of it?
No. It's more about defence. Like it's stopping the other side from controlling the footy, and it's creating turnovers, and you're not allowing them to control the footy.
But if you've got 140 marks, they ain't got the footy.
Correct. But to allow a side to have 140, it's more about the defence side. Like to allow an opposition team to have 140 marks in a grand final, you're literally never going to win. Like you won't win the game of footy. And this started in the first quarter for Sydney. They got absolutely barreled. So, yeah, James and probably others think that Sydney are going to be focusing on turning the footy over earlier, and that makes sense. There are some key players missing, Skeeter. Brodie Grundy is out with the knee, so they'll have someone new in the ruck. Callum Mills is out with that plantar fascia. Errol Goulden out for a long time with the surgery. So they're 3 very important players. Logan McDonald will miss with an ankle. I would say very important to their structure. Harry Cunningham has been playing for a long time out with a foot. Robbie Fox is out with a calf. So Sydney are missing some important ones. And then Kel Shadir, Mitch Lewis, and CJ, Chango Giath. Jath.
I think Jath, but yeah.
Thank you very much.
So there's outs for both teams.
Yes.
And there's a couple of debutants for Sydney, I think, going to come into that lineup.
Do you know who they are?
I can look that up for you. But if they're debutants, generally I don't know who they are because they've come out of nowhere. But no, so both teams missing.
Yes.
And look, for what it's worth, the numbers for Hawthorn the back end of last year, terrific. Look, it's almost useless talking about the numbers from last year, but their ground ball gets were terrific, ranked number 1. Last time they played them, they got towed up, I think, round 7 at the SCG by 70-odd points. But that's almost irrelevant given what we saw in the back half of last year. So interesting, just on Hawthorn, to touch on your mate Tom Barris, and didn't see the doco, but him talking about adjusting to life at Hawthorn and the game style they play. Very, very much a foreign experience for him, and having to learn how Sam Mitchell wants to play the Hawthorn style, which really was interesting to me. Just little snippets of that to suggest that they are playing a brand which, even for someone as experienced as Tom, has found it, just the mindset and just the practicalities of it challenging.
Well, knowing how Simo coached, who Tom Barris was under for a long part of his career, he was very structured in role, and this is what we're doing here. And without knowing the very inner workings of Sam Mitchell, I think he would be a little bit more player directed, perhaps, and say, well, when you're going to, make a decision, you just do that, and we're going to set up this way, but if you need to change something, then you just do that. So I think he's trying to empower his players a little bit more. The debutant skater, Tom Hanley, who is in, he was a mid-season recruit from 2024. Tom Papley under an injury cloud as well. But Ben Patton is former St Kilda defender, so he'll come in, bit of a key defending operator somewhere in the middle there. But they've got to patch a few other holes. Luke Parker won't be playing, of course. He's gone to North Melbourne. How do you see this game going with kind of everything we know and perhaps everything we don't know, to be honest?
No, exactly. You've actually, I've tipped Sydney, but given those names you've read out, that's a really long list.
That's why Tom McCartan's been playing forward with Logan McDonald.
Yeah, and I did notice that against, I'm trying to think, it was against the Gold Coast last week, as I was paying scant attention to it. But no, the Swans out. So for me, it's all about how Dean Cox has been able to rally the group and get them playing his style of footy, albeit early doors. Not sure saying there's going to be a radical change. And the Hawks, they're going to be under the spotlight for good. That's what you want. You want to be there because there's expectations. So, I'm tipping Sydney on the basis simply because they play so well at home and they've still have enough quality there. But, those outs do make me concerned.
I've got a couple of stats for you and then I'll give you my tip. Hawthorn have not beaten Sydney since round 13, 2021 at all. I haven't beaten them for 3.5 years. The Swans recorded a pressure factor in the grand final of 158. That might sound a lot, but that is their second worst return in any game since 2010. Skeet. In 15 years, you've rolled that out in a grand final. And the Hawks recorded a tackle efficiency of 70% last season, which was ranked number 1 in the competition. So pressure's going to be higher, right? The question is, can Sydney change things around from their grand final, and will Hawthorn be able to take their game to the SCG and beat Sydney in Sydney? I love Hawthorn and I have them finishing very high, but I'm picking Sydney as well, Skeeter. And I think what it comes down to me, going to be a very close game. I think the Dean Cox factor gets them over the line. We talk about new coaches in the first game, and I think it is a motivating factor, and I think Sydney get it done. I think Hawthorn finish higher than Sydney on the ladder at the end of the year, but in this particular game, I think Sydney win.
I wish I could argue with you, but I think the rationale's pretty sound, and I'm a bit concerned about Sydney long-term this season. But again, you're right, the new coach, Coxie's very much a player coach, as I think you might have touched on. Sam Mitchell, obviously good relationships as well. So I think Sydney to win.
I hope Hawthorn win. I'll be going for Hawthorn.
I hope Sydney win because I've tipped them.
My tipping doesn't really come into my.
No, it is. It becomes important for you this year because you've actually got your kahunas on the line. So don't start being so flippant.
What was that? Because I don't know if it was every person that beats me in the tipping competition. So if you're not signed up, I have agreed, and I will do this, I promise. Every person who beats me, I'll pay them $10. So
please, whatever you sign up by your thousands, because I want to see this bloke have to go to the ATM, stand there.
I'm not paying in cash. Or you want me to cash?
What are you trying to check?
Send your best bid. I'll PayPal him.
Don't trust him.
Why do you think that or maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll get $10 notes out. I'll do it be like a bakery sale.
Yes,
you and I can stand out the front. You can assist me.
Yeah, I'll move.
You enjoy it. You cheer me on. Hand him my $10 notes.
Please sign up and beat Schoey, because if we can get 100 people, what's 100 by $10? That's $1,000. If we can do that. I did maths for. If we get $1,000 that Schoey's got to give to 100 people who are lined up here outside the shelter studio, that would just give me a lot of warmth in my heart.
You would absolutely love that. You can park your car diagonally across the field, cheer out the front. All right, next game, Skeeter. We both picked Sydney. GWS v Collingwood. So, okay, with all the bullshit we talked about at the start, these are two ripping games of footy, right? We can't deny that. So at the very least, we have two games. At least it's not St Kilda v Adelaide or some sort of operation under the dome. We got GWS Collingwood, NG Stadium up there in Orangeland. Sunday, 3:20 p.m. our time.
No. It's at 12:20 our time, because that's Eastern Standard Time, so 3 hours ahead of us, William.
I actually did higher maths than you, but I often have trouble placing myself. Maybe it's a geography thing. I forget where I am.
Why do you have to throw you did higher maths than me? Just say sometimes you make you're a smart dumb person. Okay.
12:20 our time, 3:20 Eastern States time. Sorry, everybody. Right, there's again some key players missing in this one, Skeeter. Jesse Hogan with his son. We spoke about Tom Green. Their best midfielder will be out. Jake Stringer, who's had all the hype this preseason, injured. The Pies, Jordan De Goey with a knee. Dan Houston, I keep forgetting. He's
suspended.
Yeah,
first 4 weeks.
Year.
First 3 or 4 weeks, isn't it?
That hitting the Derby in the
Showdown.
Yeah, Showdown. Sorry, yeah. So a couple of big names missing, but this is still going to be a ripping game, Skeeter.
It will be a beauty. Giants. Remember this time last year they played Collingwood, knocked them over by 5 goals.
Yes.
Yeah, those outs they do concern me for the Giants, and I've got a question mark over them. I have to say this year, even though I've had them second in our. I just don't know. A bit like I've got no idea who's going to be good and who's bad this year. This is unusual. Brisbane, I think, talent-wise there, but the Giants, because of those early outs, again, what happened to them in the final series? I'm not saying that's a factor here, but can Adam Kingsley get these guys back on the same page? Conversely, I had grave doubts about Collingwood, but I know watching pre-season form can be treacherous, but I thought what I saw from them with their forward line, for instance, having Tim Membry as an option in the forward line, he's a free hit for them and comes in and does what he does. I think some of their senior players are probably a bit like Geelong 2 years ago. They won the flag, pretty ordinary the next year. Collingwood a bit the same last year with injuries. I think they're better placed physically this year, so I think the style of footy they'll play will be a bit reminiscent with Nick Dacos. Look, did he have an injury pre-season? Wouldn't know it.
No, I thought
he had a
small
setback.
Couple of weeks.
Anyway, he looks like he could do anything, and Nick Dacos, for me, will lead Collingwood to a victory on Sunday afternoon.
Picking Collingwood.
Yeah, I think they've got enough there. I think obviously Darcy Moore was not at his best last year.
He needs to have a bigger season, doesn't he?
Needs to have a bigger season. That's not discounting the defence of the Giants with Sam Taylor, Jack Buckley. They're outstanding.
Yes,
but I just Tom Green to me is the big out. He's the big out in terms of inside the centre square.
Yeah. So, what are the worries with GWS? So, I have similar worries with Collingwood. Yes, Dan Houston helps them in not playing this week. Tim Membry helps them, makes them better. But I will need to see them play more footy, and they absolutely can make finals. I'm not saying they can't make finals, but they need to improve more than every other side that's missed finals last year to get into finals. Like we can't just say, "Oh, Collingwood's going to get better," because that they should. I'll need to see that. I don't currently have them in my top 8. As we sit here today, I haven't got them in my 8 at the end of the year.
But you might be 100% right with a lot of factors, with their age, with.
I'm not actually talking about their age too much. We've seen.
But they've got
I've put that do on my face with Geelong a couple of years ago. I don't think the age thing matters really.
No, probably right.
There's a couple of older players, but they're pretty good older players. Still Sidebottom, Pendlebury, Jeremy Howe.
The team that's going to line up on Sunday, I think, definitely has the quality. I think they went through the traditional post-season.
Right. So that's where their improvement comes from. They shake off the
I think
premiership hangover.
Well, no, it sounds a bit cliche. I think they can and be competitive again. I mean,
have you got any tips for that? So shaking off a hangover, premiership or otherwise? I'm serious. Like, what's sort of you just You're bloody impressive, man, after having a few beers. You just get going.
We just have to, because I can't show pain to my wife, because if I do that, then she'll realise that I've had one too many.
Is there any special tricks, though? Coffee?
No, I don't drink coffee. I don't drink tea or coffee. So, no, what I do is, if I'm feeling a bit average, which we all have in life, the day after.
You and I are learning that we're both
and I'm 20 years older than you, so I've got,
That's why you're impressive, man, to be honest.
But the thing is, when you go to bed the next night, because during the day, at times you think, am I going to die today? Well, actually, my body feels like it's about to break down. Then when you go to bed at, say, 9 o'clock that night, and you wake up on the Sunday morning, for instance, and you go, I'm alive. It was all just a mirage.
Am I going to die today? Every bloke and lady listening to this is like, yep, I felt that feeling. Am I going to die?
So there's no secret. You know what it is the next night you have the best night's sleep of all time, and you get up and the grass looks greener, everything the sun's a bit more beautiful.
So this is Collingwood. This is how Collingwood's feeling. They think 2024, they go, are we going to die here? And they've woken up in 2025 and gone,
we're back.
Nah, we're back, baby.
We're back, baby. Drill, baby, drill.
All right, very good. I'm picking GWS for what it's worth.
Yeah, I thought that's pretty serious. I thought it was relatively serious, isn't it?
Plantar fasciitis, which is what Callum Mills had. This is the injury I kept talking about. It's the one you jump off something high and you can snap it.
Josh Kennedy's done it, Robert Harvey.
I reckon he might have done that, unless it was just mild.
But he's a genius.
I pick GWS. I don't have the concerns you have about GWS. I don't think it helps not having Jesse Hogan out there or Tom Green. But Collingwood have that too. Like Dan Houston and Jordan De Goey are just as important.
Well, Dan Houston wasn't there last year, so I don't understand
your
theory.
They need to improve to beat them because they lost by 5 goals this time last year. So they need to improve by 5 goals.
A year's a long time in footy.
Yeah, it is. I can tell you that right now. At least we've gone different on that one, Skeeter. So, look...
Please, Colin, get up. Colin, because if you can start racking up that little $10, guys, and get just ahead of Schoey. Imagine there's 2,000 people ahead of Schoey at the end of the home and away season. I will personally come and have a drink with you because Schoey's paying for it.
That's why you're going for a drink. All right, very good. Sign up to the tipping competition, shelterfootycast.com.au. Will Schofield, Mark Reddings, Shelter Footycast. Couple of little questions and comments to finish it off, Skeeter, as we always do. I know I've kept you here too long, and I appreciate your time, Skeeter, as always. What? I'm not being facetious. I do. G'day, lads. I hope you're well and good to see some footy back in action. This is from Thomas via email. If you want to send us an email, you can shoot one over FootyCast@BackChatStudios.com.au. Thank you, Jaden. One thing I noticed all pre-season, but especially the community series, my gosh, are the umps warmed up enough? Have they been on a couple of shelters before the game, or was it the wind? What would I know? But by God, these bounces in the centre circle were awful, being called back often, or either favouring one ruck, just runs at them and flows out of the game. It's not major, but I would hope come this weekend it picks up. And don't get me wrong, bouncing the pill is a hard thing. And there are mistakes that happen with that, but especially with how demanding the game is on umpires, do we look at removing it and just throwing it up in years to come? You've probably been a little closer to this than I ever have with some of your work with the Commission maybe, or seen it at State League. Like, does the bounce need to stay? Are you happy with it being a unique part of the game?
Well, the bounce is actually back in the waffle this year.
And that's because of umpiring development?
Yeah, exactly. So the umpires who want to get up to that next level, clearly if you're not doing it in the waffle, it makes it hard to perfect it or certainly improve your skills in that area. So it's been brought back for those umpires that would like to practice it or to use it. If not, then you're quite happy to throw it up. Look, it's a traditional part of our game. I think it's great the grand final when the ball's bounced. People in America are going, what the hell's happening now? The bounce the ball, it goes in the air. Like, it's a nice, unique part of our game. Personally, though, if all they did was throw it up, I don't think it changes. Look, it doesn't detract if you don't bounce the ball.
Right.
That's what.
Your American/Canadian accent
it's Canadian, not American.
Sorry, Canadian accent. Remind me, Jack Cowan was announced as the number 1 ticket holder. He's Canadian. Owner of Hungry Jack's.
Yeah, I know.
Hungry Jack,
he's been
Jack Cowan.
Been a long time supporter of the Eagles, and that's...
he's the number 1 ticket holder this year.
Good on you, Jack. Well done.
So he spoke very fondly, obviously big supporters of the Perth Football Club as well, Skeeter, your team.
I didn't know it's Canadian. We might just have to hook up and...
I thought all you guys knew each other.
Well, I don't know Celine Dion or Pamela Anderson or Wayne Gretzky.
I think Jack might have maybe a little private yacht. Maybe he could...
I just wouldn't mind us getting one of his franchises.
Give it to a Canadian, keep it in-house. Hey, Schoey and Skeet. This is from Brendan. Thank you, Brendan, for your correspondence. Hey, Schoey and Skeet, great to have you back for 2025. Emailing to ask if you think more schools should have AFL programs for future development and opportunities in the AFL. I did some Googling, and it says in 2023, 32% of schools participated in AFL programs and competitions, which was up 4% from previous. It also listed 9 schools in WA that had programs. I thought 32% out of the whole country of schools and 9 schools in WA was a bit low considering AFL is the premier sport in Australia. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. Thanks, boys. We'll be listening and watching along sinking shelters all year long. Thank you very much, Brendan.
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, and it does seem a bit shallow, doesn't it?
Does that mean...
other like, say, soccer, they've got more programs for soccer? Or does
it mean that the actual AFL are running the programs? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't really know the definition of an AFL program. Is it just, the sports teacher teaching AFL?
Or is it backed by WA Football, which is formerly the WA Football Commission, the AFL? It's a good question, and if I had the honest answer, I'd tell you, but I'm not sure how that does operate, to be honest. But it does seem like a low number of 9 schools, to be honest.
With kids, kids and boys, the opportunities girls have as well. Skate, you would have seen some.
Yep.
Over your time with your two girls, there's a lot of sports on offer. So if we just talk about this a little bit more holistically, my kids right now, Nash is doing soccer,
golf,
and nippers, and golf, and bloody basketball and football. And we've done that deliberately. I don't want to just chuck him in a football program and he's a footy player because his dad was. He can do whatever he likes. But there's a lot to compete against, right?
Absolutely, and particularly when I was growing up, not so much you, but for instance, the NBA was just a distant competition that we didn't really see. Now there's so much access to watching NBA, watching NFL, watching world soccer. So there's more options, and which is great. And obviously, maybe more mums and dads that being concerned about putting their kids into, say, AFL, Australian football or rugby league, the contact sport. So totally understandable. So it's a battle of you're right, battle of the minds and hearts of parents to try and say, okay, what does my kid want to do? Does he want to play Australian rules? If he does, let's take him to Auskick. If not, they won't like the soccer, which, again, soccer's got great participation, but whether they are successful in turning that pathway into anything more than that for the game in this country has been debatable.
Jaden's just giving me a bit of a heads up. Would have to be AFL-backed programs, he thinks, because the 7 PSA schools, they all have footy programs, and there'll be countless schools.
Oh, you have to.
Footy,
it
right?
seems
so
really
it'd have to
weird
be
number.
AFL-backed programs. So to answer your question, Brendan, yes, that is low, and yes, there should be a more adaptation across schools.
And why it's happening,
development.
Don't know. And just quickly, the umpiring question before, I think it's worth noting for us that Matt Stevic, if not the best, certainly in the grand final for the best umpire in the AFL. I think it's 500 games for him this weekend.
Wow.
So well done to him. 500 matches, an absolute gun.
That's a shitload of games. Maybe I should become an umpire. Scully's vape cough is strong this year from Bon on YouTube. I don't do vapes, Skater.
Why?
What do you do? Bomber and J-Lo are eerily similar in terms of results at the 5-year mark. This is from Barty on YouTube. But in that 5th year, I think we're talking about Bomber Thompson, because you and I were talking about him.
Yeah.
Geelong turned in a 4th on the ladder, where Freo were 10th. For the rest of the Bombers' tenure, as in Bomber Thompson, the lowest they finished was 10th and earned 2 cups. On the other hand, and I'm blown away by this, Chris Scott has only been out of finals twice in 15 years for 2 cups. Amazing. Let's get him to coach Freo next year from Barty. I think that's a great comment, Barty.
Well, Chris was at Fremantle going back a long time ago, and his record is outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And Geelong, they have been at the front and centre of finals in recent times. Patience. And that goes right back, you're talking about Bomber Thompson, to Brian Cook and co. Back around 2006, I think it was, when they, around that period where, there's some things happening off the field. Bomber, in the centre of the review, kept his job, and they broke the drought soon after.
Skeeter, let's finish this off with your predictions, mate. This is what everyone's here for, and hopefully you're all still listening along. Skeeter, I want you to give me your top 8.
Okay,
please.
This is obviously just going in order from 1 to 8. Then this is probably going to be fraught with danger. I'll put Brisbane on. Yeah, this is what I'm going for.
I can see what you're reading.
I'm putting Brisbane on top of the table. They finished 5th last year, so that's a risk in itself. Second, that is going to be interesting.
He's got one. Yeah, good. 7 to go.
I'm going to put Sydney second because Dean Cox is a genius.
Yep.
There's second. Let's go.
Perfect. So to pick the 2 grand finals from last year. Yep. Okay, 6 to go.
This could change in about a week.
Oh, yeah. No, this has changed from last night when I last spoke to you about it. But yep. 6 to go.
No, you're right, actually. Let's put Collingwood in third spot.
Third, right. Okay. They're having a big year. Perfect.
Fourth is going to be Carlton. We'll get Carlton back in there somehow. They're going to jump up.
Miss someone here. Perfect. Fourth. Fifth.
I'll put the Dockers fifth. I'm going to put Hawthorn sixth.
Okay. Yes.
I'm going to put the Giants seventh. And I've got one more I can throw in there. Sorry. I'm trying to think of... I said the Giants. What about Geelong? Have I said Geelong?
Nah.
They go 8. Now, that's as I've
Lock
done...
it in, guys. Lock it in.
You reckon there was a lot of confidence and conviction about that 8?
If you nail that, I imagine you will. I can't wait to play this back to you.
It won't. There's no chance. That was the most flimsy, unconvincing.
That was pathetic.
But, yeah, I think we're all in the same boat, though.
Premiers and runner-up. Who plays in the grand final? Who wins it?
I hate saying Brisbane to win back-to-back because I think it's so hard. But at this point,
Good.
I'll change soon. But Brisbane to win it.
Beat who?
To beat...
No, you got nothing to look at.
To beat Collingwood.
All right. So it's a rematch.
We're a Collingwood. Well,
rematch
from 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. Rematch.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. Possibly. Wooden spoon.
Wooden spoon. Well, this is easy. This is Richmond.
Okay. Brownlow medal.
Nick Dacos, Moral.
Boring.
This
is boring.
Yeah, well, mate, checking my top 8's boring. It's all I like licorice all shorts.
Coleman medal. Who kicks the most goals?
Well, Jesse Hogan's got a broken thumb. Yeah. Charlie Curno's not playing. I think Charlie still bobs up. I wish I could say Josh. I'm going to say Josh Tracy.
I've said Josh Tracy too.
Yeah, I'll say Josh Tracy. Well, I said he's going to be one of the best 3 forwards in the comp. So, I need to see him get out there and do his stuff in round 1.
Rising star. You know any debutants playing this year?
Yeah, the young Ashcroft.
What's his first name?
Levi.
Yes, well done.
He's a favourite.
Just for what it's worth, and I stuffed this up on the live stream because it was 5 hours in and I was just completely delusional. My Brownlow medal pick, and I'm strong on this, and I've invested in this.
It's a guarantee.
A guarantee. Matt Rowell from the Gold Coast Football Club. If you go back and look at his last Brownlow medals, the last couple...
Polls well early,
but, mate, name me 3 other players at Gold Coast that takes votes off him for the entire year. Noah Anderson won.
Well, I was going to say Noah Anderson. There's one.
Anyone else?
Yeah, it's...
Tuke Miller barely plays through there animore. The other midfielders are role players.
Tuke Miller is a player that could...
Yeah, but they give him a bit of a tagging role sometimes. You know, King... forwards don't get votes.
Yeah, but Schoey, the thing and the caveat with your, I think, selection, which is sound, is winning matches.
Correct. And I think they win more. And I think he was in the top 10 last year and they've missed finals. They make finals. They win games. He wins the Brownlow. Not sure how Nick Dacos doesn't win it, but he's my tip. So I stuffed that up on Monday. So, Skeeter, that is us. We've gone pretty long. Hopefully you enjoyed that, ladies and gentlemen. Our first preview for the year. And there was only 2 games there as well. So, God help us.
We better get on our bike next week. I'm going to move my car.
You want me to move it for you? Maybe you can drive.
No, I'll do it. It's all thanks to Paywise. Goodbye.